Coming up next on Ham Nation, we've got a great show. First off, it is Law Enforcement Appreciation Day, so we're sporting the thin blue line for all of our law enforcement and first responder friends. We appreciate what you do. We have an Orlando Hamcation preview, and you remember George's rare 433 DX? We have an update. Yeah, he's getting out now. That's all next on Ham Nation.
Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
This episode of Ham Nation is brought to you by DX Engineering. DX Engineering offers practically everything you need to outfit your shack, plus the fastest shipping in the industry. Most in-stock items ship the same day, Monday through Friday until 10 p.m. Eastern. For more information, visit dxengineering.com/hamnation. And by ICOM. For more information, visit icomamerica.com/hamnation.
This is Ham Nation, episode number 384, January 9th, 2019. Orlando Hamcation preview.
Hello, everybody, and welcome. This is Ham Nation, and it's a show all about amateur radio. And, yep, we're all hams, and we all know a little bit about electronics, but we know a whole lot about entertaining you with some of it, and that's what we're going to do here for the next hour or so. And I do hope that you can join us every week right here on the Twit Network. We got some great people, too. Let's go see who all is here. We've got, down there, there's Don. Don is doing well. How you doing, Don Wilbanks?
I am? I hope I'm doing well. Hey, everybody. Worrying about my hat here. I have the thin blue line for Law Enforcement Appreciation Day. So to all of our law enforcement officers, let's loop military in there as well. Why don't we just loop all the first responders, EMS, fire, allied health, all of you guys. We appreciate so much that you do. And I'm flying the flag today for you guys. And hello to our friends over at WTWW. They got us on the big honking shortwave at 508.5 and 15.810. Playing the greatest hits of the rock and roll era when we're not on there and other stuff is not on there. If you'd like to send them an email, anything ham radio related, please do so. Email at wtwww.us. They like signal reports and they love hearing about what's going on with your ham radio club or you and ham radio. They'll be happy to put that kind of stuff on the air for you too. So email at wtwww. So hello, shortwave listeners. Back to you, Bob.
All right. Saturday night, we fire up the big Wurlitzer and do some theater organ music, too, which is kind of fun. We've got Michael Caller here. We want to come back to Michael because we're going to talk about Ham Nation down at Hamcation. Michael, how are you doing? You doing good?
I'm doing good tonight, Bob.
All right. Well, we'll be right back because we have to go talk to this guy out here on the West Coast, and it's our good buddy Gordon West, and he's got all kinds of things going on. How you doing, Gordo?
Oh, I'm doing fine, Bob. Thanks so much for asking. And Marcus KM6ANN. Marcus, welcome to the shack. And I hope all of you had an opportunity last Saturday to work Kids Day. And Victor, if you want to go ahead and put up this young lady, here's what she sounded like on the air for Kids Day.
My favorite color is yellow. I'm located in Woodinville, Washington.
And Kirsty, how old are you?
I am 9 years old.
9 years old, and her first time on ham radio with her dad, Robin, W7YED. Kirsty, thanks for making our day. This coming weekend after next is Quartz Fest, as well as the ARRL board meeting. That'll be a dandy. And so plenty of things happening, and we'll talk all about Marcus and his mobile operation in the snow all the way to Death Valley and how he was able to stay on the air. Bob, back to you.
Okay, we look forward to that. I know you got a bunch of good pictures too. Well, before we get on to some serious stuff, I have to show you one of my Christmas presents. This was kind of cool. You guys have heard me talk about my friend, my Harvey Wells friend down in South Carolina. Well, he sends me this, and what you're seeing, of course, is a picture. No, it isn't. It's a puzzle with several hundred pieces. And I think it was Christmas Eve night. Sarah and I were just having a calm night. I said, let's put that together. So we did. And that's a puzzle of his Harvey Wells receiver and a Harvey Wells speaker. They do not exist. He made them exist. Harvey Wells never built the receiver, and he did. So you're looking at the only one on the planet. And he did that puzzle for me and sent it to me. And, of course, we put it together, took it over to Hobby Lobby, and got it all mounted up. And how cool is that? I mean, it's just very special. It doesn't take much to make me happy. But Wayne and Deb, they're just great friends. And he's the guy that gave me this. Remember, I showed you this for Christmas, the little Mars. I can't wait to get it on the air. Well, it is on the air. What I did was I hooked it up to the Pine Board power supply because I didn't have a 300-volt supply. Works great. I had it on the air last night. I'm so thrilled. So, as I said, it doesn't take much to make me thrilled. But I tell you what does, I really get thrilled about nice big ham fest. And they got a good one in Florida, Hamcation. If you haven't been there, you want to do that. Now, there's all kinds of other things you can do, but this is it, Hamcation 2019. And here is the chairman. Michael, how are you doing? Nice to have you with us tonight and want to see what's going on in your world.
I'm doing good, Bob. Thank you for having me on the show tonight.
Are you all ready to go? I mean, there's no last minute, none of that. You guys have this ready.
Oh, yeah, it's a piece of cake.
I can imagine. Well, we've got some slides you sent up, so we'll have Victor run through these, and you can tell us all what we're going to see here, Michael.
Okay.
Really appreciate you being here.
This is actually right after the show opened, about 30 minutes afterwards. And actually, Bob, your booth is right there to the right of that one, right across from ICOM. So that's how busy we were about 30 minutes after the show opened.
It was a biggie,
and this year,
for sure.
Yeah, this year ARL will be back with their expanded area like they were last year. Everybody seemed to like that area, nice and open and wide. So Bob Interbittens is going to bring back the bookstore like he had last year. This is on Friday. This was the line to get into Hamcation Friday. Lots of people standing in line waiting to get their ham gear. This year we will be, the Boy Scouts will be selling lanyards again. With your ticket laminated for $5, you get the lanyard and your ticket laminated. Plenty of food at Hamcation, from pizzas to barbecue to, we had, I think, fried rice items like that. This was one of our upgrades. This was how we did forums last year. The Florida State Medical Response Team let us borrow tents. And last year we kind of outgrew them. They didn't hold enough people. So next year we went to clear span tents. This is actually one of the big announcements this year. We will be having over $25,000 in prizes. We're actually going to be selling tickets for prizes this year. So if you go on the website, hamcation.com, all the information is there. And our Friday grand prize is an ICOM 7300. Saturday is the Yaesu FTX DX 1200. And Sunday's grand prize is the Kenwood TS 890S. This is our RV area. We have ability to host over 250 RVs there on site with full power and water hookups. This is actually our indoor swaps area. People, flea market type of stuff, used stuff. This is where you find really good items.
I saw some good items, but I can never get out of my booth to go get them. So what can I tell you? Maybe we can do something about that this year, but we'll see how it happens. But those are great. And that line to get in, that happens every year. They seem like they line up for about a half a mile to get in. That's really something.
Yeah, and that's actually only one of the gates. We have another gate on the other side of the building, which is the same way.
Yeah, one thing that you want to talk about is a feature I think that no other Ham Fest can offer, and that's a place for all of the RVs. People go to Florida in their RV. They can come there. You have a wonderful place where they can come in and park their RVs for the show. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, like I said earlier, we have capability of hosting over 250 RVs. Usually we're right around 200, 210. With full water hookup, power hookup, and we even have a dump station on property that they can use when they come in or before they leave. So yeah, you're within walking distance from the show. Plus, you get to come in early on Wednesday, set up your RV, and then as the tailgaters start coming in, a lot of them start shopping them early on Thursday before the show even opens.
Hey, Michael, Gordo, I've got to tell you, that's always the best part is that Thursday when the RVers begin to put out their stuff. I'll see you at Hamcation this year. I had to miss last year, but I'll be here this coming one.
Yeah.
Gordo, you're going to go in on Thursday and get all settled up in your communications van, or are you flying in?
No, I'm going to, Bob, I'm going to do the fly routine, and I'm going in on Wednesday just to recover from flying. So I'll be there bright and early Thursday morning.
Okay, we'll look for you, that's for sure. Well, Michael, I really appreciate you taking your time to come and tell us about Hamcation, and anything else that we should know is going to be right there on that website that Victor just popped up. And we're really looking forward to it. It's a great event. Anything else that we've missed?
The only biggest thing is please go check out the forums. Bob will be doing a forum. Gordo is doing a forum also. We have a lot of tappers coming in for the first time this year with forums, doing a lot of technical forums. So hopefully this year we up the forums a little bit and people actually like them. And we'll be doing forums on Friday and Saturday this year.
Well, I really liked what you had set up there. At first, you see those tents and you go, what's going to happen here? They were great. And the audio system, you had that all set up nicely. Usually some of the Hamfest, they miss all those points. So I carry my own audio. I don't have to do that. You guys got it covered. So thanks for taking care of that. Well, thanks so much for being with us. And we'll see you in just a very few weeks in good old Orlando.
All right, Bob. Thank you so much for having me on the show.
Okay, that's wonderful, and we really love going to that fest. It's great. I have to get out of here because I'm going to do a club meeting in California. Oh, wait a minute. Aren't I in Missouri? Yeah. How do I do that? Skype. We do several of these a month, and if you have an active club, or even if you don't have an active, let's make it active, because Gordo and George, Valerie, we all do Skype meetings to your club, and it's a wonderful thing. So we're going to go out and talk to the West Valley in just a little bit. But tomorrow night, for all of you locals, I'm going over to Jefferson City. No, they're not going to put me in jail or anything over there. That's the county's the seat over the state seat. I'm going to the Mid-Missouri ARC. I'm really looking forward to this. This will be a big deal. We've been trying to put it together for a long time. So we're going over the Mid-Missouri Amateur Radio Club meeting tomorrow night. And I appreciate the guys putting that together. So Gordo, I know you have some exciting things there, and you and Marcus. So let's see what's going on in Costa Mesa.
All right. Well, thanks so much, Bob, and have fun on Skype. And you're right. we love to Skype into your club. Just give us a couple of months' notice, and we'll make it happen. And want to remind everybody that beside this coming weekend being a busy one, it's the Thunderbird Ham Fest in Glendale, Arizona, Saturday, 8 o'clock until noon. And then it's, of course, Hamcation about a week after that. We also have Quartz Fest beginning January 19th, Yuma, February 15th. It's going to be busy. So Marcus, KM6ANN. Marcus, you had a great shot of your vehicle that we're going to be talking about. And I want you to take a look. We've got it on the Magic phone. But Marcus is just absolutely the best when it comes to being able to outfit this vehicle. Marcus, what kind of vehicle is that?
Good evening, Ham Nation. This is actually my daughter's car, which she lends to me from time to time. I just do the payments. It's a Jeep JK Rubicon. She is lifted, and I do a lot of off-roading with her. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted to set up radio communication in the Jeep, both when I am off-roading and when I help here with Aries here in Costa Mesa.
Oh, and that is great, Marcus. So he drove over and he said, well, I've got my radio all mounted. And I said, Marcus, that's an interesting mount. How did you make that the pink part of the mount that the radio is on?
Well, this was, I wanted, it's on a budget, kind of, and I wanted to mount the radio in the car. And I used the RAM mount, and I had a mount for an iPad. And I wanted to mount the radio instead of the iPad on it. So I went in the kitchen, and I found a cutting board that had exactly the perfect thickness of the iPad. So I just cut the cutting board, sacrificed it, put some L's on it, and mounted the radio on it.
Oh.
And it just works great.
That is great, Marcus. Now, we looked over the installation. I was pleased to see a subject that we talked about a couple of weeks ago, that Marcus grounded the radio to the chassis ground with ground strap, and that both his red power lead and his black power lead go to individual, and these are double fuses in parallel. So we had two of those assembly, and we always ground the chassis of the radio. And when we do, it could allow for a winch or something else on that vehicle that draws a lot of current to pull current, if it doesn't have a good ground, through the radio's ground, and to prevent the wire from bursting into flames with 200 amps when he's winching out of wherever he winches out of. The fuse will go on the black wire side. So I encourage all of you, always fuse both the positive lead as well as the negative to the battery lead, and that way you won't have a fire. So, Marcus, we talked a lot about different whip antennas, huh?
Yes, I chose quite a few of them, and then thanks to your know-how, we came and we selected actually the ones that had the best SWR. And for the moment, I have a 10 meter, 20 meter, and a 40 meter, and they're all MFJs. And Gordo helped me tune them, which is not easy. You would think the whip, you could just break off a piece or things like that, but that was not obvious, actually.
No, and we always want to be careful on any of these antennas that are helical loaded, that when you decrease the length of the whip to increase the resonant frequency, you don't push the whip down too far and break the little wires. And these little wires on the 200-watt MFJ are fine, but they also make a 600-watt version that would give you a little more band spread for each individual band. That one's for, I think, 15 meters, but when you get down to 75 or 40 meters, you're going to see that there's a lot of windings. And after a little bit of talking, making sure not transmitting, go back there and feel the coil. And if the coil is warm, that's the equivalent watts that are going up in heat rather than off into the ionosphere. And again, there are the two little screws. I like the ones with a blade. How about you, Marcus?
Yes, we had out of the three whips, one of the whips actually the Allen wrench got stripped. So it would be nice to have something a little bit more solid there if ever you want to retune it from time to time. And there you see I have 2 black bands, and that tells me that's my 20 meter.
Oh, I wondered what that was. Okay, very good. Now, we decided to mount it on the rear of the vehicle, and that's looking like a great mount, huh?
Yes, actually, I had a tire carrier in the back that swings open that is made out of metal. I had on top of it a platform, aluminum platform, and I drilled through it. And as you can see there, I put actually grounded. I use a boat ground thread there, and it looks like it works very, very well. And we tried to open and close the back door of the Jeep, and Gordo with his SWR checked it out, and it didn't budge much, so I was ready to go.
Yeah, we were really impressed that all the good grounding that Marcus had done, that you could open and close that whole back door, and the resonant point of each of the MFJ antennas would not budge. So that points out that the grounding really makes a big difference. Now, Marcus, this is how we decided to terminate the MFJ whips. And I want you to look at the copper center. That's the 3/8 24 thread. A lot of folks think that that is somehow an integral part of this mount. It is not. It is simply potted. And if you were to hit an obstruction, number one, you'd probably break this. That's the insulator that must go on to that particular antenna system. There you see it right there. But guess what? You go under something with, let's go back one, Victor. I'm sorry, I was a little premature on that. If you go under something, you're going to cause the threads to give way and pull right out of that mount. So only on ham sticks are you going to be safe for getting away with that kind of mount. That takes a PL259 and terminates it up to a 3/8 24. So Marcus, where did you go, and how was your radio conditions on 40 meters on your trip to, where'd you go, Death Valley?
So we went just 3 days of Death Valley. We did about 300 miles off-roading.
Whoa.
And then I was checking in every morning on Yonette here on 7250. And reception apparently was good on this end. And I could hear fairly clearly out there while I was off-roading. So it was comforting to know that I could talk to people if ever I needed, if I broke down.
Well, and luckily he didn't break down. Well, Marcus KM6ANN, his daughter Laura, who is not giving you the vehicle, but loaning you the vehicle. It's a great unit, and we so much appreciate you coming by. And any words of wisdom on how you covered up that you removed the cutting board from the kitchen? Anybody find out?
Well, I bought a new one in exchange, a bamboo one, and I kept that one because it's really nice. Also, when I take it off that ram mount, I can then place it on a surface and it doesn't slide around. And so it's kind of a permanent mount there, and I think I'll keep that funky pink cutting board.
Oh, that is great, Marcus. Well, thanks so much. Marcus is a fellow mariner, sails all over the Pacific, so he knows all about the importance of a resonant ham stick. And we so much appreciate you coming by, Marcus. And Barry 73 to you, and thanks for visiting the shack.
Well, thank you so much for having me. And again, Happy New Year to all Ham Nation.
There you go. Well, let's see what Don is doing for Happy New Year down south. Don?
I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to spend all my Christmas cash, and I've got a pretty good idea where, and I highly recommend DX Engineering. I figure you got some Christmas cash to spend. This, man, if you can't find it in here, it really doesn't exist. So that's the best way. Spend your holiday gift cash at DX Engineering, or if you have a DX Engineering gift card, well, you're halfway there. DX Engineering makes it super easy with hundreds of options to upgrade your shack for all the excitement 2019 has to offer. few of the ways to make the most of your holiday loot. You've been eyeing that Geochron digital 4K UHD world clock, haven't you? Well, yeah, I guess we all have. Gives you all the functionality and beauty of Geochron's famous mechanical clock in digital form. Gives you magnificent displays of the Earth with the sunrise, sunset rendered in real time through a small computer that plugs directly into a 4K TV. That you got to supply yourself. The clock's ham radio map set includes display of the gray line in real time, DX and international prefixes, the equatorial latitude and longitude, tropic points of reference, and the provided remote control makes setup and operation really easy with a internet connection. The digital 4K can be upgraded with free firmware and map updates. Shack accessories. Oh, you got to have, you need a new microphone, maybe some modules, speakers. Well, ICOM, Kenwood, Yaesu, Elenco, they all produce microphones specifically made to complement their legendary radios and deliver the ultimate in amateur radio voice reproduction. The features include built-in preamps, push-to-talk button with push-to-talk lock switch, electret or dynamic condensers, and more. Also choose from a range of NRAD mics, the new W1 competition headset, as well as Heil sound microphones and headsets. And as far as plug-in modules, well, they let you enjoy your radio's full capability, and DX Engineering has a great selection. Keyer units, filter boards, CTCSS decoders, voice memory units, DTMF paging plugins, digital audio boards, Bluetooth adapters. It's just, the list goes on. And to better hear contacts and make more QSOs, DX Engineering offers several external speakers from Yaesu, Kenwood, ICOM, Phonema, Heil, and BHI that make a perfect choice for your base station. And DX Engineering also offers high-quality, precision-engineered toolkits that enable you to prep and install connectors on your coax cables. Several kits are tailored to specific cable and connector types. For instance, the Complete Kit. That's the DXE UT Kit 4. Comes with stripping tools, connector assembly tools, braid trimmers. Almost said beard trimmers. That's a whole different item, different catalog. Coaxial cable shears and replacement blades to install solder type PL259 and N-type connectors to RG8, X213, and RG8. The coaxial prep tool kit for crimp connectors. That's the UT Kit CC1. Gives you everything you need for 400 max, 8U, 213U, LMR 400, 8X, and LMR 240 size cables for, again, crimp style PL259 type N and B and C connectors, and each tool is available separately. And all the kits come with custom foam padded carrying case. It's all at DX Engineering, and you know this. DX Engineering ships faster than anybody else in the industry. In fact, if you get your order in by 10 p.m. Eastern time, most orders, anyway, are shipped the same day. With proven products and expert advice, DX Engineering is truly helping you shrink the globe. Request your catalog or shop online 24 hours a day, 7 days a week at dxengineering.com/HamNation. I got a lot of DX Engineering stuff in here. It's great stuff, man. I particularly like the 24-hour, speaking of shack accessories, you can't see it because it's on the wall here in front of me. The 24-hour wall clock is just sharp as it can be. Really nice. I've got, for quick little notes, this is handy as it can be for quick little notes. Little notepad. These things are great. Love it. And I got a DX Engineering mouse pad. Feels like a hockey puck going across a skating rink. It's so slick. Nice stuff. DXengineering.com/HamNation. Let's take a look at the news of the week from Amateur Radio Newsline. From Amateur Radio Newsline Report number 2149, these are the Ham Nation headlines for Wednesday, January 9th, 2019. As one of only 2 hobby activities requiring a license from the United States government, the other, by the way, is flying an aircraft, ham radio operators in the U.S. have been affected by the government shutdown. Newsline anchor Stephen Kinford, N8WB.
Newsline went to production on Thursday, January 3rd, just hours after the Federal Communication Commission in Washington, D.C. shut many of its operations, becoming one of the many U.S. government agencies to close down in the wake of the December 22nd partial government shutdown. The FCC made its announcement as deadlock between the president and Congress over funding for the controversial Mexican border wall entered its 14th day. The FCC systems to remain available to the public include the Universal Licensing System, the Commission Online Registration System, the Auction Application System, and the Auctions Public Reporting System. Spectrum auctions and related activities are to continue because the auctions are funded by their own proceeds. The FCC has originally been expected to shut previously, but the agency announced in late December it was able to delay such action for a little while because it had come up with available funds to continue its operations. With the partial closure, visitors to the FCC website will still be able to get online, but the agency will not be updating any information displayed there. Search engines will not work, license transactions will cease, and there will be no access to data about informal complaints filed with the agency.
In New York, hams are going back to school at the ARRL's New York City Long Island Section Convention, a gathering known as Ham Radio University.
The ARRL's New York City Long Island Section Convention is known as Ham Radio University, and the 20th annual event takes place Saturday, the 5th of January, on Long Island University's CW Post campus in Brookville. The ARRL's new CEO, Howard Mickle, WB2ITX, will be the keynote speaker, and attendees will have a full day of forums and workshops, 30 in all, including kit building, an overview of Skywarn, Raspberry Pi applications, and of course, the digital modes. If you aren't anywhere near the New York area, you can still attend in spirit by working special event station W2HRU, which has been on the air already since the 29th of December, operating on 80, 40, and 20 meters. There will be a downloadable certificate confirming your contact. Meanwhile, if you are able to get there, think of it as a good day to fine-tune your radio skills, make new friends, and visit with some old friends. For Amateur Radio Newsline, I'm Jim Dameron, N8TMW.
While the rest of the world prepared to turn the calendar ahead in late December, members of the Greater Cincinnati Amateur Radio Association were turning back the clock for just a night on December 27th.
The date marked the club's annual AM night, which has been turning the weekly 160-meter sideband net into an AM net since the mid-1990s. According to JK8CJY, one of the 1936 net managers, it was a full night of AM with lots of participation. Jay told Newsline that 65 stations and SWLs checked into the net, with the most active amateurs checking in from 18 states. There were also SWL reports from Utah, Indiana, New York, Florida, and across the pond in England. Where rigs were concerned, it was indeed a night for classics. Jay said the station with the oldest transmitter was Joseph WA4VAG, running a World War II aircraft rig. Other military rigs got into the action, including Net Control Station Bill NM4A, running a TMC GPT 750. In Malabar, Florida, Murray K4HV checked in with a Collins 20V3 broadcast transmitter. Jay said that some of the stations were running classic AM rigs from the 50s, while others checked in with the most up-to-date SDR rigs such as Flex radios. For Amateur Radio Newsline, I'm Jack Parker, W8ISH.
And that's all from the Amateur Radio Newsline, your independent source for amateur radio news for 4 decades and counting at arnewsline.org. With Stephen Kinford, N8WB, Jim Dameron, N8TMW, Jack Parker, W8ISH, Karen Eve Murray, KD2GUT at the news desk in New York, and our news team across the globe. I'm Don Wilbanks, AE5DW. 7-3. We'll see you next time here on Ham Nation. And thanks to the Newsline crew for helping us put that together. We don't have a solar update from Dr. Tamitha Skov this week. She is in Phoenix at an American Meteorological Society conference, and all of her conference meetings ran late today, so we don't have any solar information. But I walked outside this morning and the sun was there. So there's your solar update, and it'll probably be there again tomorrow. Of course, with cloud coverage, your mileage may vary. Let's see what's going on with George and Smoke and Solder. George, what are we burning out? What are we repairing? What are you doing tonight?
Well, Don, I'm enjoying this sun outage that's currently going on down here in my part of the state. But, yeah, I'll agree the sun was out today.
Good.
And we expect it will be out tomorrow. But
yes,
we don't know about Friday or Saturday yet. It might not be.
Well, if we make it that far.
If we make it that far. Yeah, well, I got to tell you, man, I think I mentioned here last week that 2019 had kind of gotten off to a rough start in the old broadcast engineering at least my end of it.
I feel a tale from the transmitter coming up. Is this right?
Man, it's been such a year that I don't even want to talk about it yet. You know, it seems like such a glamorous profession, but
yeah,
in all honesty, no, it can be tough at times. You coast along, everything's going smooth, but when everything goes to crap, man, it all happens at once. So
did you see the picture that Charlie Wooten,
I did.
NF4A, I believe is his call sign. He's an iHeartMedia engineer in Panama City. He's out there at like 4:00 in the morning because a power line had fallen and it was across the driveway to the radio station. Can you imagine somebody coming in here thinking, "Oh, look, the cable TV dropped again," and going up there and yeah, he was out there with Florida Power getting that fixed up today. So yeah, it's a glamorous life these broadcast engineers lead. Don't let them kid you. Going out to the transmitter at 2:00, 3:00, 4:00 in the morning, and of course down here in South Louisiana, South Mississippi, and over in Panama City, Florida, where Charlie is, you've got rattlesnakes and alligators to compete with as far as in the parking lot. So I knew a guy who actually kept a flashlight and a 12-gauge shotgun in the car. And in the transmitter shack too, he would have to when he would go back, he would always get down and shine the light under the car to make sure that there wasn't some large reptile basking in the heat of the engine block. So it's a glamorous profession. I'd rather be behind the microphone than on the other side of the transmitter.
Well, at times it's safer, I guess. At times it's not, but yeah, you know, I have not had the experience of the power line being 4 feet from the ground recently. Although I did have the great pleasure during all the flooding that we had here a couple of weeks ago of hiking into a transmitter site in a pasture in the pouring down rain. There's nothing quite like that, I got to tell you. Even though you've got the gun with you and it's under your raincoat, you don't want to shoot somebody's cow, you know. So you got to be kind of careful there, and things just went downhill from there. Let me just put it that way. But maybe next week I can give you an update. There is hope. I think we're going to finish up a project and get all of that restored out there tomorrow. It's been working on it. Well, I can't even go into it. But tomorrow night, Don, I'm going to see the Beatles.
Really?
Yeah. There's a show here in town that, it was put together by George Harrison's sister. It's Liverpool Legends.
Yes. That's playing in New Orleans as well. I've been interested in that. Yeah. That should be good.
Well, yeah, I'm going to check it out tomorrow night and looking forward to it. And, well, we'll just see. I'll have to give you a report when I come back, but I don't have any acid or anything, so I'm not sure how it's going to go yet.
I'll get you some. You know, I'm one of these. You know, I'm a disc jockey. I got access to all that stuff. Yeah, no, I don't. It's a joke. It's a joke.
Yeah. Well, I think it'll be a fun show, regardless. Yes. So we're looking forward to it. Well, you know, I showed you last week that 433 megahertz transmitter that we could get at least a 3-inch range out of it, and I have been able to get, you know, a full 4 or 5 feet out of it. Well, we got a little update here. Pardon me?
Did you put a linear on it?
No, didn't need to do that. Didn't change the transmitter on it at all. But, well, we'll come back and get an update on that in just a minute. But first, a message from ICOM. Listen up, hams. Soon, ICOM will be releasing the new IC9700. It's the latest transceiver bringing direct sampling and software-defined receiver technology to the VHF and UHF arena. You're going to want to keep this rig on your radar. The IC9700 is packed with features including all-mode tri-band covering 144, 430, 440, as well as 1200 megahertz, center design style 4.3-inch color touchscreen, dual watch operation, and full duplex operation in satellite mode. Smooth satellite operation with normal reverse tracking and 99 satellite channels. D-Star providing digital clear audio and internet-capable communications.
digital data mode, providing 128 kilobits per second data communications. Look for the new IC9700 coming soon. Attention all hams. ICOM knows that ham clubs play a big role in bringing ham communities together to learn from their peers and industry leaders. As a way to give back and help you on your mission, ICOM has launched a promotion exclusively for U.S. ham clubs and the Ham Fest they're involved with. By registering your club, you could win ICOM swag, a Skype presentation for your club, or your Ham Fest and ICOM booth setup. Register today for your chance to win at icomamerica.com/hams. And you can tune in and enter win after each episode of Ham Nation. Go to icomamerica.com/hamnation and register. You could win great swag prizes like T-shirts and hats. And while you're there registering, you'll automatically be entered in the monthly grand prize drawing for a new radio. And we've got a nice radio for January. It's the ICOM IC2738 dual band dual watch mobile. It's got a large LCD display, 50 watts on VHF and UHF, and it'll do VHF, VHF, UHF, UHF, or VHF, UHF receive at the same time. Built-in weather alert function, and there's an optional Bluetooth board available, and there's a free downloadable PC programming software available for it as well. So go to icomamerica.com/hamnation after this and each episode of Ham Nation and register to win. Sign up. Good luck. And don't forget to follow ICOM America, Inc. on Facebook and Twitter. Well, you know, when you're messing with this radio stuff and ham radio as well, sometimes things don't go exactly like they should, and you just can't make that DX contact, especially on 433 megahertz for me for a while. We did get that cured up, though, and this is a follow-up to a segment that ran last week. We got a little better success. That's what I'm going to be talking about tonight.
Oh, okay.
Is the 433 megahertz. We are no longer bound by a 1 foot barrier.
You think we're going to make it from the end of the table, one end of the table to the other?
I believe we could.
Awesome.
Let's
that opens up a lot more possibilities.
We can work more than the T layer.
Okay.
The T layer.
Back in January, in episode 100 of Amateur Logic, we looked at the little 433 megahertz transmitter and receiver pair that I picked up at the Huntsville Ham Fest, and we did a little experimenting with them. Unfortunately, we found that the range was only a few feet at best.
Very nice.
Yeah.
You get about half a mile with that?
Man, I couldn't get the width of this table with this thing.
Really?
Yeah. Very discouraging. I decided to do a little experimenting and see what the problem was. The first thing that I did was go to the internet, do a little research. I was thinking I've got a quarter wave vertical here and a quarter wave ground radial on it. Well, some guy on there said that what you need is a coil-loaded antenna, and he gave all the dimensions and told about how much it improved his. And so I built a couple of those, and I tried them on the receiver and transmitter as well. No improvement whatsoever, and I didn't think there would be, but, made them anyway just to see. Theory would say that no, that's really not going to be any better than a resonant antenna. We're going to do a little experimenting here and see, well, is it the transmitter or is it the receiver? Now, the first thing I did was fire up the transmitter and look at it with a spectrum analyzer just to see what kind of signal there was there. And right there, 433 megahertz. That is a very strong signal showing up there. I'm not going to read the exact measurement there in decibels, but it's fairly high. Now, of course, the receiver and the transmitter are this close together. Well, you would think you could probably still get, some distance to that. So I'm going to take the transmitter and go as far as I can back on the other side of the room here.
Now the transmitter's at least 20 feet away from my receiving antenna here. This test is far from scientific, but we can see that, there's still a fairly good signal there way above the noise floor. So that's at minus 45, just a little better than that there on the spectrum analyzer. And this is not calibrated in any particular way. It's just for reference purposes. I'm going to add my quarter wave ground radio back, and we can see it gave just a slight improvement there to the signal. Everything's highly interactive here as I move around or move anything in the shack here. You're going to see it change, but I think my test is saying that the transmitter is okay. It's clearly above the noise level at 20 feet away, and I could probably get much further than that and still be way above the noise floor. So the next thing I did was took a UHF transmitter, which I just used, MFJ 266C antenna analyzer here that covers UHF. I put it on 433 megahertz, hooked my little antennas up to it, compared it with the signal that I was getting on the spectrum analyzer there, and I got just about the same, maybe slightly more out of this. However, I couldn't pick it up a bit better with the little receiver module here. Either one of those, if I got more than, a foot or two away, the receiver was having problems. So at this point, I've decided it's got to be the receiver. I did some reading online and found out that, yes, these particular receiver boards right here are real poor, and people have been ordering a Superheterodyne model to replace these with and getting much better results. So I did that. Of course, it came from China, so it took a couple of weeks to get here. This is an RXB8 module. You can find them on the internet for a few bucks. I've forgotten exactly how much I paid for that one right now. As you can see, it's got a few more parts on it than the little cheap module that we were originally using. Now, I didn't have to change my code. The same code worked with this. The pinout on it is pretty much the same, but it's labeled on the board there so you can see where you got the +5, the data, and the ground. Over here, you've got another ground where I've put my ground radio, and then also you've got a pin for the antenna there. So it's a little bit easier to hook up. Now, this one cost, several dollars more than the little one that I got with the kit, but there's no comparison between the two. I didn't really change my code much. I've made some slight changes to it just for display purposes, so here's a link where you can download a new version of it if you'd like it. I've added a 0.1 capacitor there across the power supply rails. It really didn't make any difference. But let's see how this Superheterodyne receiver behaves. Well, it's picking up fine, 20 feet away. Do you see this other little carrier out here on the spectrum analyzer? Since this is a Superheterodyne receiver, we're actually seeing the IF frequency there. Let's see if that's correct. Okay, we've got a marker there at 433 megahertz. And we can see that's pretty much the frequency we're operating on. Let's put another marker on here. If you see that 2 right there, 9.333 megahertz. So it's about a 10 megahertz IF on this thing. But it's receiving very well. As a matter of fact, I took it outside and did some experimenting with it. Did I convince you to buy a spectrum analyzer, Tommy?
No.
You just said.
I said if I knew how to use it, I'd be tempted to buy one.
That's how you learn how to use it.
But now I'm real tempted to come over here and borrow yours.
So what range were you able to get, George?
Well, and I'm glad you asked that question, Peter. I took it outside, the little transmitter, and I set it up on top of a garbage can, plastic one. Just, away from the building here a little bit, out and open, but so maybe it's 4 feet off the ground. And I put a 9-volt battery on it. No, actually, I think I hooked that one up to a wall wart and run an extension cord out there. So it's just sitting out in the yard. Then I took the little receiver on the breadboard and I started walking around the neighborhood. And I got about 500 feet away, and it was still coming in good and strong.
Really?
Yeah.
And the other one wouldn't work from you to me.
Right. And so I decided to go on the other side of the main street over here. And now there were cars and houses and everything else blocking my signal. But I was able to walk a quarter mile away before it, it really got.
That's very useful. The other one, pretty much worthless.
No.
But that's a good, useful distance. You do some good projects for that.
It is. Now, all I was doing is using it for CW there. I was just turning the transmitter on and off. But you can actually run data into it, so you could transmit text or meter readings or, whatever you wanted to with it.
Yeah.
So, a very handy little thing. And you asked how much that module was. I think it was between $4 and $5 for that little receiver.
$30 to ship it from China?
No, it was pretty cheap. So, that made all the difference in the world.
Yeah.
And it did. It was all in the receiver there. Like I said, I got a quarter mile out of it just walking around on the ground with all kind of obstacles between the transmitter and the receiver. So turns out 433 megahertz worked much better than I thought it would. That was a lot of fun. And, I'm going to have to do something actually useful with that transmitter and receiver. Now, I don't know what it's going to be, but I'll try to come up with something soon because I still got them, and all I did is just play with them a little bit there. Now I need to put them to work. Last week I asked a question on here since we were talking about those modules there. I wanted to know what project ideas you would have for one of those 433 megahertz unlicensed wireless modules there, and I got a lot of good answers. I got one from Russell Richter, WP2AHG, and he said he'd replace the LED on the receiver with a cell phone buzzer, and then you could set the transmitter up, hook it to a key, and you could fill the Morse code over at the receiver. So presto bango, it'd be great for private clandestine messaging system like sending answers during a test for cheating. Well, yeah. I got a lot of suggestions. People saying use it as a temperature sensor. Hook a temperature sensor to it, make an outdoor thermometer, or, hook it up to a pipe and you can detect, which pipe is freezing, send a signal to a receiver at a remote location and a speaker in the house, and let you know, hey, you got pipes freezing. Or maybe a remote control to turn on and off lights. Tim Harden, KM4VBA, suggested that. And this is an idea similar to one I had that I haven't pulled off. Craig, KC7CUE, said he's got a newspaper box out in front of his house, and, oftentimes he checks it in the dark and he can't see in there, so he just has to reach up and see if there's a paper. He said, why not use it, as a link to let him know that, hey, there's a newspaper there. I thought about that for a mailbox. That would be good to know that the postman had come. We got Brian said it could be used to transmit status of a door if it's open or closed. I got several people mention that you could use it for a 70 centimeter fox hunt at a ham fest or something. And, I think probably the majority of HTs would receive 433 megahertz. So that might be a good use. I haven't verified that, but a good idea from Brian Turner, W8LN, and several other people had that idea. And then one from Holland, Wim Wanamaker. said that, he mentioned the Fox Hunt transmitter as well, and he gave a long list of things he had built using those modules. He said he's not a ham, but he's a prolific builder and has, gone years through work and built a lot of stuff, but never became a ham. And now he's retired from the Navy. He's got enthused. He's been watching Ham Nation, but he's got really enthusiastic about ham radio now. And he's studying for his Tech General and Extra. And, I think he will probably pass the exam when he takes it soon. But there can only be one winner, and there were so many good answers, I just had to pick a random number. And the winner was Brian Turner, W8LN, who said a 70-centimeter Fox Hunt transmitter. So congratulations. Brian, we're going to send you an MFJ 2703 3-position antenna switch here, a very heavy-duty antenna switch, available with PL259 or SO239 connectors or Type-N connectors. 2 kilowatts on HF, 1 kilowatt on VHF, 500 watts on UHF. And if you get the Type-N module or connectors on it, it's good from up to 1.5 gigahertz. Otherwise, all of the switches are good up to 800 megahertz from DC to 800. So thanks, MFJ, for making that available. And congratulations, Brian. For next week, I have another question, and if I can find it, here it is. How many inches long is a 433 megahertz, 1/4 wave vertical antenna? How many inches long would a 1/4 wave antenna be for 433 megahertz? If you think you know the answer, send it to me, hamnationcontest@gmail.com. And I've got a copy of Gary Drash's book, Ham Radio is Alive and Well. It's written by K9DJT. Gary had been out of ham radio for a number of years, came back to find out what was going on now. And boy, he's been having a good time. And he tells us some of his history in ham radio and a lot of the things that you can do these days that you may not have known about. So answer that question for me. Tell me how many inches long 433 megahertz 1/4 wave vertical would be. And send your answer to me, hamnationcontest@gmail.com. You might be next week's lucky winner. And now Amanda is here with us, and I know she has been watching the chat room. Amanda, what is on people's minds tonight?
Well, I'll tell you what's on my mind, and at least one other person in the chat room. George, we know you're going to be dropping some acid, but they're going to be antacids.
Antacids. Yes.
Yeah. That was a great one in the chat room. I couldn't help it. I had to repeat that.
Yeah, I think that's about.
You're going to have those nachos out at the street truck, and you're gonna be hurting later on. So bring the antacids with you.
Oh yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, you're right.
I know, that's messed up. You'll tell us about the shrooms later, though, right? Wink, wink. Okay.
Yeah. I have been out in the cow pasture, so you never know.
Oh, the best ones grow in the cow pasture.
They
I know.
I've been told.
What?
I've been told. Yeah.
Yep. That's what they say.
All right. I do have something cool to show you guys. I got this in the mail today out on my front porch. Look at what I got.
Oh, wow.
I've got these to fill out for everybody that contacted KA6LMS while we were there at the studios. So look forward to those. Ray and Cindy, I bet you got the same package and you're going to have to fill yours out too. So fun times. Let's see. I have a legitimate question for you, George. WB5ORT Ed says, ask George how much interference from other things like a local remote thermometer these transmitter receiver combos would compete with.
That is a good question, and I don't have an answer for it. I don't know because I really didn't leave it up for any length of time. That'd be something to check out. As you noticed on the spectrum analyzer, I didn't pick up anything else anywhere near it, but that was inside a building here. So maybe I ought to take it outside and just look around my neighborhood and see if there's any interference. I don't know that they're frequency agile, though. I think maybe they're just locked down on one particular frequency.
What do you think, Gordo?
Yeah, they are locked on 433 plus or minus. I do a lot of weak signal work. In fact, weekend after next at Quartz Fest, Ray and I will be on the air with a new ICOM 9700. And down at 432, every so often we find on the weak signal portion of the ham band a weather station or a remote thermometer, things like that. So while they should be locked on 433, which is sort of the catch-all band for these wireless devices, right here when I'm on my 432 megahertz antenna, I can hear about 5 or 6 different digital signals coming through. So there's a lot of traffic out there. And George, hook up to a little ground plane antenna on that Regal, and you'll be getting a lot of interesting signals. No telling what you'll see and maybe even hear.
A good point. Yeah, I'll have to look into that. You know, I think the trick would be whatever you're going to send with it, the data you're going to send, you kind of need to personalize it somehow or make it, put some kind of key in it so that your receiver knows that, hey, this is me and not the neighbor.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Gordo, since we have you here, you know, it looks like you booted Marcus out of the room. Did you?
We did. Marcus teaches classes, and he had to get off to teach another class, but I'll fill in for him, maybe if I can answer the question.
Oh, that's fine. It looked like Marcus had quite a bit of fun traveling in his Jeep. I was kind of curious on some of the Aries activities that he did out of his mobile rigs, but I bet you could fill in for that since you probably work side by side with him.
Marcus and his daughter Laura have no fear of going off-road. And that was the big thing about putting high frequency in their rig. They wanted to be able to go to areas of Death Valley as well as areas in the Sierras that were off the beaten path with absolutely no capabilities of either 2 or 440 ham repeaters. So I said, Marcus, you got to do HF. But the first thing we did was to listen on an HF temporarily in the vehicle with a temporary antenna, because sometimes vehicles of all sizes, shapes, and forms will have birdies coming out of their computers that will really interfere with HF. But his particular Jeep was quiet. Now, Tracy, with the MTARA team, he had a noisy Jeep, and we had to dodge the birdies. But on Marcus's machine, it was quiet. Even with the engine running, not a whisper of any real interference. So he goes to places you wouldn't want to go with a normal vehicle, and yahoo, he has fun with his daughter, Laura.
Oh, absolutely. It looks like it's fully equipped. I'm a little jealous. I'd like to have a Jeep like that. That'd be sweet. Excuse me. So, Gordo, we all know what time of year it is. It's Quartz Fest time. When is it? Give us a lowdown. Tell us who's going to be there and when they should be there if they're going to go.
Well, Quartz Fest opens up a week from this coming Sunday, but a lot of Quartz Festers, hams and RVers and tent campers, and those that'll either sleep in their car, not wanting to have something crawl into their sleeping bag. We've never had it happen from the ground level. But Quartz Fest is for everyone. It begins a week from Sunday. In fact, a week from Sunday is going to be an eclipse of the moon. So this is going to be an interesting day, and a lot of kids will be there, and we want to get them on the air. And next week, we'll have our Quartz Fest report. But do listen for us on VHF, UHF, and that includes 6 meters as well. And Ray and I and others at Quartz Fest will light off VHF and UHF with that new ICOM 9700. I can't wait to compare it to my favorite faithful 9100 here. It's going to be doing duty at the special event station all week long. And we have a 100 amp bio-NO power lithium iron phosphate battery that will be solar charged. And that battery, we'll show it to you next week, is going to be all charged up and will stay charged, we're sure, to keep the 9100 and the 9700 perking for the whole 7 to 10 days.
Hey, here's a fun fact, Jordan, since you mentioned the eclipse, the lunar eclipse. I'm glad you mentioned that. That happens on January 20th. And did you know that 19 years previous, January 20th, 2000, there was another huge major lunar eclipse. But something else happened on that day, January 20th, 2000. My son Tyler was born.
Oh, wow.
And it's funny, when he was a very young kid, like 1 or 2 years old, it's funny, he was born on that lunar eclipse day, that major lunar eclipse day. He would go outside and howl at the moon. I swear. And do it. Google that. Yeah, Google that. The lunar eclipse 1/20/2000. Google that, and you'll see it was a huge thing. Yeah,
that's amazing.
Tyler's birthday.
I cannot wait to hear about the Taster's Choice test of the 9100 compared to the 9700. So
yeah,
I'm really looking forward to that video. Ray, I know you're going to watch this later on, so come on, get it. Do us right. Show it good. That's really all the questions I had for tonight. So I think we're actually going to wrap it up on time.
Pretty close. Hey, since you mentioned the Last Man Standing QSL cards, and Ray probably getting a lot of those. Here's a tip for those of you who made contact with Ray at the Last Man Standing thing. When you fill out your QSL cards, remember, write slow because Ray can't read real fast.
I'm laughing too hard at that joke. Wow. All right. That leads us to nets. We're going to go over some nets, and then I'm going to... George, wait, though. I think you had a slight comment. Go ahead.
Yeah, I wanted to mention one thing I forgot to mention earlier. You know, I was shuffling through my stack of papers trying to find out what the question was for next week, and forgot to mention that Randy is looking for your ideas on the projects that you're working on. He'd like you to send him a photo and a little description of what you're working on. No videos, but photos. He wants to know what you've been building, soldering, wrenching, drilling, or basically destructing or constructing. Send your photos and your descriptions to him at k7age@outlook.com. He's working on another video, and rumor has it, maybe we got one coming up next week.
Well, very good. Yes, get those photos out there. Even if it's you're desoldering to reclaim your silver and stuff like that. So, all right, nets now. We've got D-Star on 14 Charlie. We have DMR on TAC 311. We have HF. You know, actually, I have not seen Kevin on here tonight. So look around 7192, but I haven't seen him verify that tonight. He might be out for this week. And we have 3845. Steve's on 75 meters. Steve, if I got that wrong, I'm really sorry. And then we have the Echolink net, which we have been told is on the Guild. So look for that as well. And I'll definitely be on D-Star tonight. I can't guarantee any of the other nets. It's just getting late and getting tired. So D-Star is the easiest one for me to pop on to. So with that, who's driving this in this tonight? Don or George?
Oh, I don't know. We're kind of me, I think. I don't know. Doesn't matter. Whatever. George, you want to wrestle for it?
No, I don't want to wrap this runaway train, Don. If you
I do have one other thing to say, and I can't believe Don hasn't said it.
What?
Go Saints! Who dat?
Oh, that's right. Yeah, we're playing Philadelphia Eagles, and I found a picture of a really delicious looking chicken Philly sandwich, and I made a meme out of it. I said, This is some tasty eagle.
Oh.
Well, I'm
Yeah,
really
who got-
rooting for the Saints. I'm
Yeah,
rooting
me
for
too.
them, baby. Go
Me
all the
too.
way.
I can't wait. It was funny. Saints coach Sean Payton today brought into the locker room the Lombardi Trophy from 2009, 4 armed guards, and $225,000 in cash in a glass box, which is the players' the players' bonus if they make it to the Super Bowl. Actually, if they win the Super Bowl, and he said, "You want this? Win 3 more effing games, and you'll get it."
There you go.
Yeah, that's so. Yeah, it's just love that kind of motivation. Anyway, so yeah, who dat pulling for my Saints. So all right,
There you go.
George Gordon. Anything else before we kick this thing into the curb?
Nope. We'll see you all next week. 73. I'm on 7192 and looking around 3845.
Awesome.
And be careful. It is very hard to see a black cow in a pitch black field at night. And that's all I've got to say about that.
There's
voice of
way more to
experience.
that story. There's
Yeah,
way
I'm
more
sure
to
there
that
is.
story.
All right, a couple of quick Ham Fest. The Hammond, Louisiana Ham Fest is this weekend. You can check that out at CELARC, SELARC.org, I believe it is, Southeast Louisiana Amateur Radio Club. And then the following weekend is George's Ham Fest up in Jackson, Mississippi. I'm going to try to make that one. Going to try to make both of those. So, George, hopefully we'll see you up there. We'll talk more about Jackson next week. If you're down in the South Louisiana area, check out Hammond, Louisiana. That's a good Ham Fest. So probably Cheap Old Man will be up there too. All right. So good night, everybody. We'll see you all next week. Thanks for being part of what we do here on Ham Nation. We do it because you let us do it, and we are very appreciative of that. So we love you. And again, Law Enforcement Appreciation Day.
Yes.
The Thin Blue Line. We're behind you 100%. Good night, everybody. 7-3 from all of us here at Ham Nation.